right, and welcome to our bonus episode. We had to come down and record because way too many news stories took place that we can't just not talk about them.
Seriously, what happened on this Thursday?
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Thursday, the news day of the year, I guess.
Thursday, May 18th. We'll go down in history.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
a lot of news announced. We were just going to include it in our upcoming episode, our normal one, but we have a interview with our friends over at Disneyland Forever, Jordan and Daniel, and those run longer, so we didn't want to cram it into a already long episode. So we want to give it its proper time. So we thought a bonus episode was perfectly appropriate. So let's go over the first news story, the big one, and that is the Galactic Starcruiser is shutting down.
Okay, so my first thought is, can you believe it? But then I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, I can. We knew this was coming. The price, it's just all around people's just whole view on it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I knew it wasn't doing well. We knew that, right? I think we did a couple news stories on how there was a ton of availability. It wasn't booking up, not even close.
And all the promos that they were running.
They were doing promos, so discounts. So we knew it was struggling. And when you try and price something at I think it was $4,800 for two people, and that's a 48-hour experience. That's 2 nights.
That's a lot.
I understand that people pay $5,000 on vacations all day long, but those are usually multiple days. You can get a 7-night Disney cruise and have some change left over for that kind of money.
Right. And then we've heard a lot of people go, well, it's an experience. It's just
I get
nothing
that.
other. But at the same time, it's still 2 days. And
Yes.
it's still expensive.
100%.
So-
I'm not arguing that it was probably a neat experience.
Oh, of course.
And it was for a very select few people. Personally, I don't know if I'd spend $5,000 for a 2-day experience.
Right.
Personally, I just
Right.
I don't know if I'd get my money's worth. I like Star Wars. I'm not a big enough fan to do the cosplay stuff for 2 days. Like, it sounds neat.
Yeah.
If it was maybe $2,000, I'd consider it.
Yeah. And, we do have some followers that have gone on the Galactic Starcruiser.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
It
They think it
looks
was
cool.
amazing. They would love to do it again. So it kind of just depends on, like, your experience that you had and if you've gone on it or not.
Totally.
Because, again, it's easy for us to go, oh, well, I don't know if it's worth the money because, again, we haven't been on it. So we can say that all day. Anybody can. But at the end of the day, I think everyone can agree that it is a very expensive, like, premium experience that unfortunately didn't do as well as I thought it would.
No, it didn't do very well. So it looks like the last voyage is going to take place September 28th through 30th. That will be the very last Galactic Starcruiser voyage. And anyone that booked past that date are going to be contacted by Disney with next steps on what that looks like. I'm assuming they'll, I don't know, either just give them their full money back or just go, hey, if you actually keep it with Disney, we'll give you 20% off, like a resort stay or something.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's surprising. It's a little surprising. It's a little surprising.
I never thought that they would just shut it down.
Well, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is that
Yeah.
it's a little surprising that they're not repurposing it, but it was 100 rooms. That's very small. I mean, that is tiny. So I wonder if Disney was like, you know what, it's more effort than it's worth to try and scale this down. And a part of me was like, what if they just take all the actors away and just do a very highly themed resort, right?
Yeah.
Still expensive, but take all the interactivity out of it. But again, maybe the numbers don't work out, that they, even at full occupancy, paying way less money, maybe they just don't make their money back. Or I don't know.
Yeah, I saw something interesting on Instagram. One of our followers mentioned, which again, I thought this was a unique point because I didn't think about this. She was just basically talking about how she knew that this was coming, like all of her friends and family knew it was coming, but she said that she mentioned feeling bad about all the cast members that took time to like really figure out how to make that unique experience for all the guests coming on. Like, imagine trying like fitting that role. It's not just a normal thing where like you just talk to someone, like you're putting someone in an experience, feeling like they're almost out of this world. And she's like, I kind of just feel bad for them because I'm like, that was a ton of work.
Well, that was part of the problem. Not the problem, but that was part of the cost structure, was that these people weren't just cast members. These were actors. So
Right.
they cast actors for these roles, and you have to pay them union rates. And so that's very expensive.
Right.
So, well, relative, right? Relative to a normal cast member rate. So you have to understand Disney was like, well, I'm not trying to justify them charging $5,000.
Oh, no.
But I'm telling you why they did have to bake in some of that cost into the price, is because it was just a very expensive experience to staff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so keep in mind, though, that this thing opened March 1st, 2022, so it was only open a little more than a year.
That is just astounding to me. That wasn't that long at all.
No. So, I don't know, experiment gone wrong. Maybe they learned from it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they got some cool nuggets out of there. They said, "Oh, we'll try and plug this in somewhere else in a different way."
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, anyways, yeah. So last voyage, September 28th through 30th for the Galactic Starcruiser. If you have any strong opinions on this, feel free to send us a message over on Instagram. Let us know what you're thinking. And yeah, would love to hear what you think about the closing of the Galactic Starcruiser. All right, and the final big news story takes place over in Florida. It looks like Disney is pulling the plug on the Lake Nona expansion. That was the project where they were going to build a brand new facility for mostly Disney Imagineering and moving all of them from SoCal, I think the Glendale area, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
to the Orlando area, which is Lake Nona, I guess this little town over there. The project was going to cost about $1 billion, so it was going to be $1 billion investment in the local economy, and it was going to move about 2,000 employees over there, with the average salary being $120,000. So high-paying salaries, which means, tax revenue for local taxes and stuff, and just good jobs, right, for the local economy.
Right.
And they're stopping that. So again, like I said, of those 2,000 employees, most of them would have been Imagineering department staff, and we already know a lot of Imagineers dipped out because they were forcing this move to Lake Nona, and then they just canceled it. I'm assuming it's in response to a lot of things, not only the drama with Governor DeSantis over there, but also because I know Imagineering has aired their grievances about this move. It fell on deaf ears with Chapek, but it looks like Iger actually listens to what people want,
Right.
and maybe just said, you know what, this doesn't make any sense now, especially with the political climate and the headwinds there.
Yeah.
Now they're like, you know what, we can keep everyone happy, we can save money, and keep everyone where they're at.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, that this is one thing when Iger did come back as CEO. This was one of the things I automatically thought that he would change or stop, if you must. So the fact that this just happened, again, it's crazy that it happened the same day as like the Galactic Starcruiser. So it's just such big news. But I kind of hoped and kind of figured that it would stop and not move forward.
Yeah. Again, because I think why you're saying that is because it was a Chapek era decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so many people were just so infuriated, like you said.
Infuriated. And like even former Imagineers are coming out on Twitter, almost leaking information from, they have friends still that work at Imagineering saying they are livid. This is ridiculous, like XYZ reasons.
Yeah.
And it was pretty messy. So I'm happy Iger made this decision. It just stinks for the people that already moved out there.
Well, that's what I was just going to say is I wonder if any of those Imagineers will return. I wonder if any of them will kind of be under the good graces of Iger for wanting to come back since they're staying in California, or if it's going to be kind of like the cold shoulder of like, you left.
No. So it looks like Josh D'Amaro actually addressed this and said that he's going to be having discussions with the staff that ended up moving. And he said we'll possibly move them back to Southern California. So I think it's probably a case-by-case basis.
Right,
I wonder if the people that want to come back and go, hey, it's on your time, Disney, you get to move me back to California across the country.
Right.
And compensate me for the trouble.
Right.
Maybe they'll do it.
Imagine moving someone's family out there.
That sounds terrible.
And being told you're going to lose your job if you don't.
Yeah. So I feel really bad.
Yeah.
Actually, the company I work for actually recently did something like this. So, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, I'm happy they're staying here. I'm happy that they're staying. I think you mentioned it was the Glendale area. It's nostalgic. That's where
it's the classic Imagineering building.
Yeah.
Like it's been there since dirt. And so.
Because remember, weren't they going to sell that?
Yes.
And everyone was up in arms about that as well, which I understand. Because I was like, how in the world do you get rid of something like that?
I know. It's a lot of Disney history in that building and culture. So just to get rid of it and just willy-nilly like that, and move them to Florida just for who knows. At the time, he was saying financial reasons. It just makes more sense. I think Chapek said Florida is a more business-friendly environment. That sure has changed. So,
right.
Anyways, they canceled it. It's all good. I feel bad for the folks that did move, but hopefully they get to move back, and Disney will cover that cost. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our little bonus episode here. We thought it was necessary to go ahead and talk about these crazy news stories and give them the time they were due.
Yeah. Happy Thursday, everybody.
Happy Thursday. It's crazy. Yeah. By the time you're hearing this, it'll be Friday. So happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah.
And please stay tuned for Monday. We had a ton of fun with Jordan and Daniel from the Disneyland Forever podcast.
So much fun that my cheeks were like hurting from smiling and laughing so hard.
Yeah, we ended the call and I was like, ow, like my face hurt for a while and I was starving and delirious. So we went and got in and out.
Yeah.
And it was just a good night.
It was a good
We
night.
talked Disney for an hour with some good friends. And then we went in and out. I mean, how much better could it get?
Friends and cheeseburgers.
Friends and cheeseburgers.
What's better than that?
Thanks so much for joining us for this little bonus episode. We'll see you in a few days.
Right. On Monday. See you.
Bye.
Bye.